Welcome to the Global Medical Device Podcast, where today's brightest minds in the medical device industry go to get their most useful and actionable insider knowledge direct from some of the world's leading medical device experts and companies.
I really had a good time on this episode of the Global Medical Device Podcast. I got to talk with Monir El Azzouzi. Monir is with EU Medical Device, and he is a prolific podcaster and blogger and provides a lot of great content, and he has a lot of expertise to offer and share on EU MDR. And on this episode of the Global Medical Device Podcast, Monir and I talk about some of the pros and cons, or I guess some of the finer points of EU MDR and how this might have some impact on your existing quality management system. So enjoy this episode of the Global Medical Device Podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Global Medical Device Podcast. This is your host and founder at Greenlight Guru, Jon Speer. And joining me is somebody that I've been a fan of now for a bit, and it is Monir El Azzouzi, and Monir is the founder and CEO of EU Medical Device, and also a very prolific podcaster, I guess is the right way to describe it. But Monir, welcome.
Thank you, John. Yes, podcaster, YouTuber, blogger. So there is a lot of qualifications, if I can say. But yeah, the idea is mainly to help medical device companies to be compliant, to place compliant devices on the market, and this is really the mission that I'm trying to have, and to also to share on all my videos or all the podcasts that I'm doing here.
Yeah, and Monir and is done. How many episodes have you done now?
Yeah, I've done. For now, it is 111 episodes.
Oh my goodness!
I remember, I think last year you have reached the 100 mark. You at the Greenlight Guru, and we were talking about that, and you said to me, "Yeah, I wish you really the 100." And when I reached that, so I was really happy. So yeah. Thank you so for that.
Big deal. Yeah. You put a lot of, I can tell you love it, and you put a lot of work into it. It's your work shows. And, folks, go to easymedicaldevice.com. I mean, how easier can a domain name be to remember than EU Medical Device? Monir provides a lot of great content. I've used a lot of the guides and information that he has to help me better understand some of the topics. But today, when I was talking with Monir the other day, he thought, there might be an angle here. We could talk a little bit about EU MDR and QMS. So I thought we'd dive a little bit into that today. Monir, if you want to give people, I guess, a starting point, maybe a good place to start is just remind everybody, hopefully, but for those that may not be familiar, what is a quality management system?
Yeah, so first we have to understand that a quality management system is not just a bunch of documents, because sometimes I have some customers that come to me and say, create me my quality management system, and so send me all the documents and I will show that to the regulators, etc. But for me, creating a quality management system is more kind of a mindset, or as I call it, usually it's the law of your company. Like you are creating some laws for a country, so they have to follow. So it's the same for a company. So how they can design a product, if they receive a complaint, how they will manage it, etc. So it's really creating the law of your company, and this is really what you have to have in mind for when you create your quality management system, because it's a lot of work, a lot of documents. You have to maintain it, so it's not like you receive just a bunch of documents and then you are done. No, it's like something that you have to maintain and to execute and to improve. So yeah, this is really the system or the law that should be used for your company.
Yeah, the word that some people may just like cringe at maybe is the law for your company, that law where it scares people, but I think it's really important for people to understand. I mean, another word that sometimes is used is governance. Regardless of what word you use, this is setting up the infrastructure or the framework within your company. And I think a key thing there is, compliance is still an important aspect of being a medical device company. So these are the laws on how you're going to demonstrate and address that. Obviously, Monir, there's been, in the U.S. we have the FDA QSR. There's a few different ISO standards along the way as well. I think probably the most common is probably 9001, which I don't even remember when that originated. And obviously in the med device we have 1345. And for all intents and purposes, these are similar and, provide a good framework, but, I guess where are they the same? Where are they different? And I know that's a big question. So pick and choose the big points that you think are relevant.
Yeah, so at a certain point, for example, the ISO 9001 is a general quality management system. So it's something that a company that is manufacturing some furnitures or things that we are using, consumables that we are using, can use, if I can say, to set up a quality management system. So it's really general. It has no really specific topic on anything. So it can be used by even services companies. So for example, I have my consulting firm, and actually we are trying to set up an ISO 9001 system because we are not a medical device manufacturer. We are just a consulting firm. So we are trying to go through that path instead of the other. When you are a medical device manufacturer, so the best quality management system is the ISO 13485. And mainly, this is, for example, so when you are, for example, manufacturing some medical devices, you have to respect some laws, some regulations, and there is also some harmonized standard that you have to follow. And mainly for quality management system for medical devices, the harmonized standard is the ISO 13485. The QSR, so it's mainly the one for the US. But for me, a QSR and the last version of ISO 13485, so the 2016, are nearly similar. I even heard that the FDA is thinking now of replacing QSR by ISO 13485, but I don't know where they are on their journey for that. So this is, as you mentioned, some frameworks or some way to do it. But I'm always saying, if you want to establish your own quality management system without following this, you can. You just have to prove that all what you are setting up is really compliant to the regulation and to all the requirements of the regulation, which can be really difficult with some auditors. So my best advice is really to follow, for example, ISO 13485 if you are a medical device company, and not try to reinvent something that is already existing.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. And to your point, the rumor, I guess, that you've heard about FDA moving to QSR, or from QSR to 1345, I've heard that same thing several times. In fact, I've talked to some folks that are relatively close to FDA and on this particular topic. And I think the latest that I heard was that we should expect some movement from FDA as soon as February 2021. Now, I don't know, that seems, that's like right now. So I don't know if that's going to be the date that happens. But yeah, I do think we should start to see that transition. And I think you raise a really good point. I mean, when 2016 version of 1345 came out, and always 1345 and QSR have been pretty close, but the 2016 version made some giant leaps forward towards harmonization. And at least from my context, my opinion, the FDA QSR hasn't been updated since it was published back in like 1996, whereas the ISO framework is more dynamic. It is, there is a group of people who work on this and revise it every so often. So I think this is one of those things that FDA has realized, and FDA participates in that group as well.
Yeah, and the thing here is what is important. So I participated to audits in Europe for FDA and for ISO, so from notified bodies. And companies in Europe don't have two systems. They don't have one system for FDA and one system for ISO 13485. They have one system for everything that is complying with both. So at the end, yeah, it's not like you are following two different rules. You have just to take the requirements for both and to create a procedure. Sometimes I have a procedure that says, if you are selling your products in Europe, here is the process to follow. If you are selling the products to the US, here is the process to follow, because there is some small differences. But in majority, for example, for a CAPA system, I don't have any specific requirements for ISO 13485 and another one for QSR. So it's exactly the same thing. So yeah, there is a lot of similarities. There is small differences, but really a lot of similarities. So at the end, yeah, let's have one system instead of
for sure. For sure. And folks, if you're a startup company that's building or establishing your first QMS, this is what we do for a living. Both Monir and I, we have a lot of expertise in establishing quality management systems. So, depending on where you are or who you prefer, whatever the case may be, you can reach out to either of us, and we can certainly help you on that. You can find Monir at easymedicaldevice.com. You can find out more about Greenlight Guru by going to www.greenlight.guru. All right, so Monir, for the past, let's go with 5 or so years, the medical device industry has been, there's been a lot of changes. I mean, we talked about 1345. We've had ISO 14971's been updated. There was the medical device single audit program for some parts of the world, probably forgetting a few, but obviously EU MDR is now just, it's just right around the corner. This is yet another change that impacts a company's quality management system. Good news is 1345 and the QSR are pretty much in sync, but is EU MDR going to create some new challenges with respect to a quality system?
And it's always kind of a surprise for some of my customers, because they come to me and they say, okay, I want to transition to EU MDR, and they say, okay, can you provide me a technical file for that? Update my technical file for that, etc. And I ask them, okay, and what about your quality management system? And they all say to me, oh, but we are ISO 13485, so it's fine, it's okay, there is no change to do on this and that. And I say, be careful. It's not like you are ISO 13485 and everything is fine. It's more like EU MDR is implementing new rules for some procedures that you have on your ISO 13485, and even it's creating new requests for new procedures that you don't have on ISO 13485. So at the end, you have to be careful to not just focus on an update of your technical file, because there is a need for update of your technical file for EU MDR, but also to start. For me, it's first starting with the quality management system and then move to the technical file. To start with your quality management system, to make an assessment of what are the differences between what you have actually and what the EU MDR is requiring. And for that, there is a specific chapter that you have to look at, which is the Article 10.9, where it says specifically, here are the procedures that we want to see within your quality management system. And one thing that is important here is that when you will read this article, there will be a listing of procedures or requirements. Like, for example, the first one is we need to have a regulatory compliance procedure. Mainly, this is not something that is existing within the ISO 13485, so you'll have to create that. So it's a procedure that is telling specifically all the requirements for EU MDR, the classification of your products, the conformity assessment. A lot of things that are not mentioned in the ISO 13485. So this is, for example, one of them. The second one is GSPR. So GSPR is the new version of the essential requirements. So before we call that essential requirements, now we call that GSPR. It's also something new, and that can be also included on your regulatory compliance. There is also other procedures that are already existing within the quality management system, your quality management system, but you have to update them. So it's not like you have just to keep it as is. For example, the clinical evaluation. Clinical evaluation, it's a procedure that is already existing, so it's something that you had done before, so it's not like new. But the EU MDR is providing new requirements following, for example, Article 61 or Annex 14. So then you'll have to make a gap assessment between those two elements. So your procedure, so you read your procedure and you read the articles and you check if this is aligned. If it's not, then you have to update your procedure. So you have, for example, clinical evaluation, you have the UDI procedure, or identification and traceability procedure, some of the manufacturers call it like that, your post-marketing surveillance procedure, your vigilance procedure, your communication procedure, because now you have also to include the communication with your economic operators. So there is those procedures that are kind of existing, but you have to update them. And there is also procedures that are mentioned that, for me, I suppose, if you are already compliant to ISO 13485, there is no need to change, which are, for example, the responsibility of management, the risk management, the product realization, the CAPA system, which are procedures that are existing, but there is no new requirements specifically due to EU MDR. So you see here, just by making this kind of listing, you see that there is a bunch of work that the companies have to do to update their quality first to assess if there is any change to do, and then to update their quality management system, because a notified body will come and will check if you are complying to those requirements. And if you are not, then you will not be certified. I mean, you will not get ISO 13485 first, and then you'll not be certified. So I advise you really to make this check and to really update the procedures so that you are really compliant to the EU MDR.
Yeah, absolutely. Monir, I want to take a quick break. Remind people I'm talking with Monir El Azzouzi. Monir, tell us a little bit about what you're doing at Easy Medical Device and where people can find out more.
So so at Easy Medical Device, so as we said, so at the beginning we started really to educate people, so more trainings through some blog, podcast, or videos. We created also the Green Belt certification training for EU MDR. So mainly every month we have a session of 1 week where we invite people to come and to be trained, not on a theoretical basis, but really on a practical basis, because we are providing some assignments where it's copying, if I can say, what we are executing for our customers in the real life. So they will see really how they have to execute some of the tasks, and then they get some quizzes, they get some live sessions with me where we can do some question and answers, and at the end they have an exam to pass, and if they get it, so then they'll get the certificate. But part of that, we are also doing consulting, so we are helping all the medical device manufacturers that want to transition from MDD to MDR, or also new medical device manufacturers that are really trying to get their products on the market. I just have to tell that it's really difficult actually with the notified body situation. First, because of the availability of the notified bodies, and second, also it's something that we start to discover is because of the prices that the notified bodies are charging, if I can say, to get certified. It starts to be higher than what we thought before. So it's something that is starting to stop some of the startups to continue business. So this is what we are trying to do in terms of the project, but mainly anything related to quality and regulatory affairs for medical devices. We are trying really to help on that. Just the last thing that we are also doing, because of Brexit, so we have opened an office in the UK, so to be also the UK representative for the people that are trying to sell their products in the UK. Because mainly, because when you are going to the UK, you have now to have a representative on site, which should not be somebody that is located in Europe because of Brexit. So UK is not anymore in Europe. So then you have to have now 2 representatives, one in Europe and one in the UK. So then we are helping also for being the representative for those companies. So yeah, here it is.
Well, it's awesome work. I mean, I've gone through some of your courses and consumed a lot of your content, and and certainly on the EU MDR topic, you provide a lot of clarity. And folks, the Easy Medical Device podcast, you can find it on the easymedicaldevice.com website, but there's also a YouTube channel. Monir has done something that, he does videos with all his podcasts, and it's sort of inspired me to consider that with the Global Medical Device podcast. So stay tuned soon. We might be exploring that as well. But while we're talking about quality management system and have this brief break, I want to remind you too that Greenlight Guru, we're here to help. Greenlight has the only medical device quality management system software platform in the industry. It's been designed specifically and exclusively for the medical device industry, aligning with 1345 and the QSR and the impending EU MDR and 14971, and all the things that are important to you from a compliance perspective. I would encourage you to, if you're in a place where you'd like to gain some more efficiency and learn more about ways we can help, go to www.greenlight.guru. Some exciting news that we've been working on is incorporating some machine learning and some AI elements into a quality management system platform. We have a feature called Visualize, which allows you to see a picture of the relationship of all of your documents and records within your quality management system. And we are rolling out a new feature called Halo for Change Management. In fact, that was just announced the other day, but that's going to revolutionize things. It's going to make your change management practices so much better. It's going to feed you information about what should be incorporated in changes that you're making. That way you can make sure you've crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. So again, go to www.greenlight.guru to learn more. All right, so Monir, let's get back to the topic. One of the things that can be a little bit confusing, I think, is this notified body and auditing organization and certification body. Are these all the same thing, or are these different entities? Can you maybe provide a little bit of clarity about that?
Yeah, so mainly a certification body is a company that is certifying you for a certain standard. So as we talk about ISO 13485, so a certification body that is listed on the website for accreditation. So can provide you an ISO 13485. So first I recommend you, for example, if you are having some suppliers or anybody working with you that provides you with an ISO 13485 certificate, to not just trust the document, but to go on the website of the accreditation bodies and to check if the accreditation, if this certification body is really accredited for giving that to you. Sometime on their website, they have also a place where you can check the certificate. So it's something that I advise you to do, because following my research, I find a lot of certificates that were not really true, that mislead, if I can say, some of those manufacturers to say we are ISO 13485, when it's more like, yes, they are, because they are maybe following the procedures, but they never got certified by an external company. They just have kind of a diploma to say, I'm following ISO 13485, but I'm not really certified. And this is something that is sometimes misleading. So those certification bodies are accredited, so they have the authorization to provide you an ISO 13485 certificate. But there is also something that is a bit misleading for some companies, is the fact that when they are trying, for example, to get a CE mark, they are saying to me, okay, can I have a certification body that is providing me an ISO 13485 certificate, and then later I will get my notified body coming for the EU MDR. And the thing is that the notified body is the one who has to look at your ISO 13485 quality management system and has to confirm that this is a system that is following this regulation. So this is mainly what is written on the EU MDR. Some of the people that are trying to read that also interpret that, yeah, but it is maybe a typo to say anybody that is accredited for that can do it. But after many discussions with other experts, they said, no, it should be a notified body. So the one that is really accredited for EU MDR should be also the one that is providing you the ISO 13485 certificate. So don't pay something twice, if I can say, meaning having a certification body first that is coming to give you an ISO 13485 certificate, and then going with a notified body that will charge you again for that, because they have to check that your procedure is following the ISO 13485.
Yeah, choose wisely, I guess. Know where you want to go and what you want to get into. But if you're going to get, if you're going to have your company go through the certification process from a quality system, I'm going to guess you're going to bring products to market too. So just choose wisely. Monir, I mean, anything else? I mean, you hit on a moment ago. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this. Some of the changes or some things that you should explore from a quality system perspective because of EU MDR. I mean, there's a lot more emphasis on clinical, as you noted, and not just clinical, but I think all the post-market clinical activities that are expected. From my perspective too, I think there's a lot more emphasis that's put on post-market surveillance. Another theme that I pick up when I read the EU MDR is a more emphasis on risk and risk management and risk-based approaches and things of that nature. You've been working with a lot of companies through the transition toward EU MDR. What are some of the things that you've seen as more challenging than others?
Yeah, so the EU MDR is a regulation that is, if I can say, raising the bar in terms of requirements and things that you need. For example, before with the MDD, we had, for example, some class 1 devices company that were, because it's self-certified, that are just providing their products on the market without having a quality management system, or really a minimal quality management system. But on the MDD, it was not really clear at all that they needed, if I can say something like that. But now it's written black and white, if I can say, on the EU MDR that any company that is bringing a device on the market should have a quality management system. And it's why this Article 10.9 is important, because it's showing to you what is the minimum requirement that you should have as a company to be qualified or to be compliant to EU MDR. So it means that maybe your company is trying to place some class 1 devices which are self-certified on the market, but at a minimum you have to have the procedures that are listed on Article 10.9, even if you are not ISO 13485 certified. So you have to show those procedures. What I'm always saying is that when everything goes well, nobody will really check what you are doing. But as soon as there is an issue on the market, as soon as there is a competitor that maybe wants to raise some concerns, etc., then the authorities can come and visit your site and ask for some details, for some information before maybe they can say, okay, you are not really compliant, so we'll stop your your certification or your registration of these products on the market. So it's why here there is a minimum elements to have on your quality management system, and class 1 devices, even if it's self-certified, even if it is low risk, have to have some procedures, so have some quality management system. So this is, I think, the first thing that is really important. They also have to have a clinical evaluation, even if it is a low-risk product, because I have a lot of companies that come to me and say, oh, I don't need a clinical evaluation report because I'm class 1, I'm low risk. No, you have to have one, even for that. And I have made a specific podcast episode on this type of low-risk devices. The post-marketing surveillance, I think this is something that is also surprising for some companies, is the fact that before, when we were doing a post-marketing surveillance, where, if I can say, waiting for the information to come to us, like a complaint, like a literature, like an expert suggestion or comment or whatever. So mainly we are waiting for that. Now the regulation is clear that you have to be proactive. So it means that you have to go to the market to initiate some studies like a PMCF, or to initiate some survey, or you have to do something by yourself, to plan something by yourself, to go to the market and to gather those data you should do that. You should not wait that somebody is coming. So here are some examples of elements that were, if I can say, accepted within the MDD, but are not anymore accepted within the MDR, and you have to do something with it. So this is just a small list, but yeah, there is more that can come here.
Yeah, and here's another question that I get a lot. Obviously, the original date that EU MDR was supposed to go live was in May of 2020, and probably for obvious reasons with the pandemic, that was pushed out until May 2021. So the question that I get often is, will it be delayed again? I have an opinion about it. What is your thought about that?
Yeah, so it's funny. So just for the story, so I'm doing my podcast since many years now, some 2 years now, and I have with me a famous lawyer in Europe, which is called Eric Volbrecht. So we always talk about the fact, no, the MDR will not be postponed. No, the MDR will not be postponed because it's too difficult by law and they have to vote and this and that. And when there was this pandemic, it was kind of, it's postponed. It was easy, like...
I know, like, right?
Really? It was... I was discussing with Eric Volbrecht and asked him, okay, now what should we say to people? Because we were saying that since 1 year, that it will not be postponed, it's postponed. But yeah, with those circumstances, and we are really happy that it's postponed, because mainly it gives more time for some manufacturers and also some notified bodies to certify some products. But the issue of the postponement is the fact that the pandemic is also something that, if I can say, delayed certification, because notified bodies couldn't travel to go to audit their manufacturers, because on the regulation, on the EU Commission says you cannot certify a company with the EU MDR certificate without doing an on-site audit. So then all notified bodies were nearly blocked. Some could continue to do the audits because they had an office maybe in the country where the auditor is, where the manufacturer is placed, and they had the auditor that is qualified for specifically this. products. So then they had the chance to continue on the process. But a lot of them were not able to do the on-site audit. So then they were blocked. The manufacturers couldn't move forward. They had to wait for this pandemic to be stopped so that they can move forward. During that time, notified bodies raised the question is to the EU Commission to say, please, can you authorize us to give the certification with the remote audit and during a long time, the EU Commission says no, we don't allow that. They provide even a MDCG guidance to say no, it's not possible. You can do remote audit, but remote audit is not authorized for new certification, etc. And suddenly, 2 weeks ago or last week, can't remember, the EU Commission says, yes, it's fine now, you can do remote audit for a first certification under certain conditions again, that the products are really critical, that there is really no possibility, etc., etc. Temporarily, so they say that temporarily they can do that. This means that normally, from now, the notified bodies can start to have some remote audits with their manufacturers, which means that normally, if this is done correctly, there is no possibility then for postponing the 2020, the May 26, 2021 date of application launch, because they authorize remote audits. And it's what they are saying. So we have a bet actually with with Eric Goldbrecht to say that, for me, I say, there is still a possibility, so maybe it will be postponed. And Eric says, no, it will not be postponed. So I say, okay, so let's have a bet, and we have a champagne bottle bet. So
all right.
If he wins, then I will have to pay a champagne bottle. If I win, so I get it. So mainly we'll see. But to be honest, yeah, my conviction is that there will be no delay, no postponement of it. So
yeah, and regardless, I mean, I don't think if you're a medical device company betting on another delay in the EU MDR, then you're kind of looking at this from the wrong perspective. I mean, look at the MDR for what it is. It's a chance to level up, to raise the bar, I think was the words that Monir used earlier. And that's really it. I mean, I think it creates a lot of anxiety with folks at times, because the previous version, the MDD, well, I mean, that was authored back in the 90s. So a lot has changed in the 20 plus years since the EU MDR came out and is going live. A lot has changed in my world in 20 years. I'm guessing the same is true for you, and certainly there has in the medical device world as well. So, this is just an opportunity to level up our companies, our practices, our quality management systems. And one other thing that, Monir, we'll have to talk about this on a future episode, I think a lot of people are forgetting, is the EU IVDR is going live in a little over a year, so in May of 2022, and we'll talk more about that on a future episode. But anything else that you want to leave the audience with today on EU MDR and a quality management system as we wrap up this episode?
Yeah, as you mentioned, so just an ID, because it's a picture I'm showing to some of my students, participants to my training. So the MDD has 60 pages. The AI MDD, which is the Active Implantable Medical Device Directive, has 20 pages. So it makes it 80 pages in total. The EU MDR is 175 pages, so more than the double. So just by showing this picture, you can see that the requirements are huge. I mean, there is more requirements within the EU MDR than within the MDD and the AI MDD combined. So it's more the picture that I'm showing to people, just to make them understand that it's not just a small change because I have some companies that are coming to me and say, here is all the change that we have to do, and here is the invoice that we will charge for that. And they are starting to, if I can say, bug, because they say, it's that much? I'm saying yes, because don't think it's just one document or two documents to change. It's a huge number of documents. You have to redo some clinical evaluations. You have to review, as I've said, all your quality management systems. So there is a lot of things to do here. So it's not like just a small change. So if you have still not started, on this project, I really advise you to do that immediately, or you can lose a big market. So the EU is really a big market, and you can really lose that.
Yeah, for sure. Monir, thank you so much for taking time to share some of your thoughts and insights on EU MDR and quality management system today. I appreciate you being a guest on the Global Medical Device Podcast.
Thanks, John. Really appreciated.
Yeah, folks, again, go to easymedicaldevice.com. It's really that easy. Check out all of the exciting content and videos and podcasts that Monir does. He gets some experts from all over the globe talking about the things that are important to our industry. It is a really great podcast. I have to admit that I feel like there might be a little competition going, but it's a friendly competition. Both Monir and I have the same purpose with these podcasts, and that's trying to educate and inform you about topics that are important to our industry. So you should listen to his podcast, and you should also listen to the Global Medical Device Podcast. But as always, we're here to help too at Greenlight Guru. Again, I've shared with you today that the Greenlight Guru Medical Device Quality Management System software platform is designed for you, the medical device professional. So go check it out, www.greenlight.guru. And as always, thank you so much for being a loyal listener of the Global Medical Device Podcast. Continue to share this with your friends and colleagues, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again real soon.